The black sky over Earth cracked with strange light. A giant ship floated in silence above the blue planet. It was not one ship but many, all shaped like sharp blades glowing with red fire. Inside these ships were alien warrior women. They were tall, strong, and covered in silver armor. Their eyes burned with pride. Their voices carried across Earth through every screen, every speaker, and every city. "Earth," the commander said, her tone full of mockery. "We see your world weak and soft. You live with toys of metal, but you do not know war. You call yourselves humans, but to us you are nothing but insects. Why should we show respect to such a small race?" The words spread fear. People in cities looked up at the sky with open mouths. Mothers held their children close. Soldiers on Earth tried to ready their weapons, but deep inside, they knew these weapons were useless. The aliens were too powerful. The warrior women laughed. They told each other stories about their victories. They spoke about worlds they had already crushed, species that bent down to their feet. To them, Earth was just another weak place to conquer. "Look at their men," one of the warriors said with a cruel smile. "So small, so fragile. How do they call themselves protectors? How do they think they can lead?" Another warrior added, "It is funny. Their men look like children compared to us. Their bodies will break in a single strike." Their laughter was like thunder. It echoed across Earth and filled humans with shame. But not everyone was silent. Far away in a quiet town near the mountains, a man stood on a rooftop watching the alien ships. His name was not yet known to the world. He was not a famous soldier, not a leader, not a man with medals. He was just ordinary. His clothes were simple, his face calm, but his eyes carried something sharp, something unbroken. While the rest of Earth trembled, he did not bow his head. Instead, he whispered to himself, "They do not know us. They think strength is only in size. They think power is only in weapons. But they will learn." Back on the ship, the alien commander smiled, showing her sharp teeth. She raised her hand, and suddenly one of the cities on Earth went dark as her ship cut power. "See," she said, "we can control your world like a candle's flame. With one breath, we can blow it out. What can men of Earth do to us?" Fear grew stronger. News channels repeated the same lines. Alien invaders mock humanity. Some people cried. Some prayed. Some shouted for leaders to act. But no leader dared to answer the challenge. Then came the moment. The alien commander looked into the camera, her gaze like fire. "If Earth has even one man with courage, let him step forward. Let him face us. We will give your world a chance, though it will not matter. Your men are too weak, too soft, too slow." The challenge spread everywhere. In homes, on streets, in schools, people watched with disbelief. A duel against alien warriors? It was madness. Who could stand against them? Who would be foolish enough to even try? The ordinary man in the mountains heard the words. His face remained calm, but inside his blood boiled. He remembered the laughter. The way they mocked every man on Earth. He thought of children hiding in fear, of women crying, of fathers feeling powerless. "No," he whispered. "They will not mock us forever." He picked up an old bag from the corner of his small home. Inside were simple tools, nothing special, nothing advanced. But his hands held them with confidence. He tightened his grip and looked once more at the sky. The alien women kept laughing, waiting for Earth's silence to prove their words true. "See," one said. "No man dares. They hide like rats," but just as they spoke, the screens flickered. A voice strong and steady broke the silence. "I accept." The laughter stopped. Billions of eyes widened. The warrior women turned to the sound. And there, standing before a broadcast camera set in the nearest city, was the man from the mountains. His face was calm. His words were few. His spirit, however, was clear as fire. "I am a man of Earth," he said, "and I will face you." For a moment, silence filled the air. The alien warriors stared at him as if he was a fool. Then their laughter returned, louder, sharper, but this time it had a shadow of surprise. "Very well," the commander said. "You will fight us, and the world will see the truth, that earthly men are nothing before alien warriors." But deep inside, a question had already been born. Why did this man not look afraid? The alien commander's voice echoed across every city. Her words were sharp like blades. "Earth, your men are weak. Your courage is only a story. If you truly believe you have strength, let one man face us in combat. We will show you the difference between dust and steel." Billions of humans listened in fear. Families sat close together, their faces pale. Leaders of nations whispered behind closed doors, asking each other, should we respond? Should we surrender? None of them had an answer. The alien warrior women stood tall on their ship, waiting. Their laughter spread again, loud and cruel. Look at their silence. No one dares. Their men hide like frightened animals. But then, the voice of one man had already broken that silence. I accept. The words traveled like fire. News anchors repeated them again and again. A man has accepted the challenge. The world held its breath. Who was he? Where did he come from? Was he mad or brave? The cameras turned toward him. He stood in a simple square of a small city. There were no shining weapons on him, no heavy armor, no soldiers at his side. He wore plain clothes, his hands empty, his eyes calm. People watching on screens whispered, "Is this really him? Is this our champion?" The alien commander looked at him with interest. She leaned forward in her throne-like seat. "You are the man who dares to face us? What is your name?" The man raised his head. His voice was steady. "My name is not important. I stand not for myself, but for Earth." Some humans watching felt a strange warmth in their hearts. He was not speaking like a hero from stories. He was not proud or loud. He was simple, honest, and unshaken. The commander laughed. "Very well, nameless man. We will break you, and the world will see the truth. Your courage is amusing, but it will not save you." The alien warriors behind her joined in the laughter. One of them, taller than the rest, pointed at him and said, "Look at him. No weapon, no armor. He will fall in one strike." Another sneered, "Maybe this is Earth's way of surrender. They send us a lamb to the slaughter." But the man did not flinch. He simply looked into the camera, his gaze direct, as if speaking to every person watching. "I will not fall. I will fight." The alien commander raised her hand. A great screen appeared in the sky, floating above Earth, linked to the alien ships. She wanted the duel to be seen by every living soul. Let all of Earth witness. Let them see what happens when pride meets power. The date of the combat was set for the next morning. The news spread faster than fire. People argued on streets and online. Some said the man was crazy. Some said he was brave. Others said he was only making things worse. Children asked their parents, "Can he win?" Parents shook their heads, unable to answer. That night, the Earth did not sleep. Lights stayed on in cities, radios and screens buzzing with one question. Who is he and what chance does he have? The man himself walked alone. No guards followed him. No army walked beside him. He carried nothing except a small bag slung over his shoulder. He entered a quiet place, an empty park with a broken bench, and sat under a tree. The night sky above him glowed faintly with stars, but it was broken by the shadow of alien ships. For a moment, he closed his eyes. Memories came, of his father teaching him patience, of his mother telling him never to bow to cruelty, of the many times he had stood alone when others gave up. He smiled softly. "They think strength is in armor," he whispered. "They think power is in weapons, but they do not know the strength that lives in a man's spirit." Meanwhile, in the alien ship, the commander prepared her best warrior. She chose one who was feared across galaxies. A woman taller than 3 men, her body covered in scarred armor, her hands carrying a blade that glowed red like fire. "You will fight him," the commander ordered. "Do not end him quickly. Break him piece by piece. Let the world see his weakness." The warrior bowed. "Yes, Commander." "The humans will know shame." The alien women gathered in their hall, their eyes burning with hunger for spectacle. They wanted to see Earth's man crushed, to laugh again at his failure. Morning came. The city chosen for the duel was empty now. The people had been moved far away, but their eyes still watched through screens. The alien ship hovered above, its shadow swallowing the streets. The man stood in the center of the ground, calm, still, waiting. The alien warrior landed with a crash. Dust flew in all directions. She stood taller than him, her armor shining, her weapon humming with power. She smiled, showing sharp teeth. "So, little man, you came to die." The man looked up at her, steady. "I came to fight." The alien warriors laughed once more from their ship. But somewhere deep inside, in a place they did not speak of, a seed of doubt was growing. Why did this man not tremble? Why did his eyes hold fire instead of fear? And so the duel was about to begin. The city ground was silent, except for the low hum of the alien warrior's glowing blade. The woman warrior stood taller than the man, her armor glinting in the morning light. Around them, the alien ships floated like silent judges, their red eyes fixed on the battlefield. On every screen across Earth, billions watched, their hearts pounding. The commander's voice boomed from the ship above. Begin. Show the man of Earth what true power looks like. The alien warrior smiled with cruel confidence. She raised her blade high and swung it down at the man with crushing speed. The ground split where the weapon struck, stones cracking, dust flying. The sound echoed like thunder, but the man was not there. He had moved quick and light, rolling away just before the strike landed. He stood a few feet back, breathing steady, eyes sharp. The alien warrior frowned. Fast for a human, she muttered. She swung again, her blade cutting through the air like fire. Again the man dodged, his steps calm, his body weaving away from death. From the ships, the alien women laughed. He only runs. Look at him, hiding like prey. But others, though they mocked, kept their eyes on his movements. Something about the way he dodged was different. It was not fear. It was not panic. It was control. The man watched her carefully. He did not try to strike back yet. Instead, he studied her rhythm. The way her feet pressed into the ground, the way her hands gripped the weapon, the way her breath shifted when she prepared to strike. Every small detail he noticed. You will tire yourself before I do, he thought silently. The warrior grew angry. She wanted blood. She swung again, faster, her blade glowing brighter. The man ducked under the strike, rolled forward, and in a sudden flash he grabbed a broken piece of metal pipe from the ground. With a sharp motion he struck the side of her armor. It made no dent. The sound echoed like a bell. But it was not useless. The alien warrior stumbled, her balance shaken for just a second. The humans watching on Earth gasped. He had touched her. He had made her move. The alien women in the ship hissed with surprise. Impossible. No human should last this long. The commander narrowed her eyes. He is clever, but cleverness will not save him. The battle continued. The alien warrior charged forward, her strikes heavy enough to break stone. Each time the man slipped away, his body flowing like water. He was not stronger, not faster, but he used every shadow, every piece of broken ground, every breath of space. He turned weakness into advantage. Once he ducked beneath her strike and slid under her legs, slamming the broken pipe against the back of her knee joint. The armor cracked slightly. A thin red spark leaked out. The crowd of alien warriors gasped. Their proud laughter fell into uneasy silence. The Earth's people watching screens at home cheered wildly. He can do it. He can fight! The alien warrior roared in anger. She lifted her blade high and slammed it into the ground. The shockwave threw the man back, dust flying into his face. He rolled and landed hard, pain shooting through his ribs. He coughed, blood touching his lips, but his eyes stayed fixed. Slowly he stood back up. His body was shaking, but his spirit did not bend. I am not done, he said softly, but his voice reached every ear. The alien warrior sneered. You are nothing. You are a scratch on my armor. I will end you now. She charged again, swinging her blade with the fury of 10 storms. But this time the man did not step back. He stepped forward. He moved into the storm instead of away from it. With a quick spin, he struck the same knee joint with all his strength. The armor cracked wider. The alien warrior stumbled. Her giant form crashed against the broken wall of a nearby building. For the first time, she fell to her knees. Silence. The aliens in the ship froze, their mouths open. The humans on Earth screamed with joy. The commander clenched her fists. Her pride was shaken. He should not have lasted this long. Yet he makes her fall? The man stood, breathing heavily, sweat dripping down his face. His hands shook, but his eyes burned brighter than ever. He raised the broken pipe like it was a sword and pointed it toward the fallen warrior. I am not afraid of you, he said. And I am not afraid of any of you, the alien warrior growled, pushing herself back up. Her pride burned hotter than her weapon. She had never been touched, never been made to kneel in front of her sisters. Shame twisted her face into rage. This ends now, she shouted, lifting her blade for one final crushing strike. The man tightened his grip on the broken pipe, ready to meet the storm again. Billions of humans leaned closer to their screens. Alien warriors held their breath. Even the commander's eyes flickered with something she would not name. Doubt. And so the first clash of pride turned into something no one expected. Not a quick death. Not a laughable failure, but a battle that had only just begun. The air was heavy with dust and silence. The alien warrior's blade glowed like a burning star, raised high above her head. She wanted to end the duel with one final strike. Her sisters watched from the ship, their eyes full of hunger for victory. Billions of humans on Earth held their breath waiting for the man to fall, but the man did not look afraid. His body was wounded, his hands shaking, but his spirit stood like a mountain. He lifted the broken pipe once more, holding it like a sword. His voice, calm and steady, cut through the silence. "I will not bow." The alien warrior roared and brought her weapon down with all her strength. The ground split open, the air shook with the blast. But in that flash of fire and chaos, the man moved. Not backward, not sideways, but forward. He slid close to her body, too close for the massive blade to strike him cleanly. And then, with all the power left in his arms, he slammed the broken pipe again into the cracked joint of her armor. This time, the metal shattered. The alien warrior screamed as her knee collapsed under her own weight. She crashed to the ground, her blade falling from her grip and sinking deep into the dirt. Dust flew everywhere. For the first time in their history, the alien warrior women saw one of their strongest forced to kneel before a human man. A gasp ran through their ranks. Their proud smiles vanished. On Earth, the reaction was the opposite. People watching in homes, schools, and streets screamed with joy. Children jumped up and down. Men and women cried tears they didn't know they were holding back. For the first time since the ships arrived, hope was alive. The commander's face darkened. She leaned forward on her throne, her golden eyes burning with anger. "Stand up!" she shouted at her fallen warrior. "Stand up and finish him." The alien warrior, ashamed and furious, tried to rise, but her broken joint sparked with every movement. The man stood before her, chest rising with heavy breaths, his face smeared with blood and dust. He held the broken pipe like it was the most powerful weapon in the universe. The alien warrior's voice cracked with rage. You dare to make me kneel?" The man's reply was quiet, but it cut deeper than her blade. "I do not fight to humiliate you. I fight for my people, and I will not fall." Those words carried through every screen, into every ear, across both human and alien hearts. Some alien warriors watching felt something strange stir inside them. Not anger, not laughter, but something harder to admit. Respect. The fallen warrior struggled to her feet, limping. Her pride would not let her stop. She grabbed her blade again, raising it high. But the man was faster now. He used the broken walls, the rubble, the uneven ground. While she relied on power, he relied on balance, timing, and the will that refused to die. At last he struck again, this time hitting the weapon in her hand. The glowing blade flew from her grasp, spinning into the air before crashing down yards away. The battlefield froze in silence. The humans watching roared with thunderous cheers. On the alien ship, the warriors' laughter turned to silence. Some clenched their fists in anger. Others lowered their heads in disbelief. The alien commander's lips curled into a snarl. She had promised the galaxy that Earth would bow. Instead, one man stood, making her army look weak. She slammed her hand on her throne. "Enough!" The sound of her voice shook the hall. She rose to her feet, her tall figure glowing with power. She stepped forward, her eyes burning like fire. "If my warrior cannot end him, then I will." The alien warriors gasped. It was unheard of. The commander herself stepping into combat, but her pride demanded it. The man on the ground looked up at the sky, watching her silhouette grow larger on the screen. He wiped the blood from his lip and smiled faintly. He knew what was coming. The real battle was about to begin, but even now he did not tremble. The humans saw his calm face and believed more strongly. Children whispered to their mothers, "He can win." Old men in villages raised their fists and shouted, "Stand, human!
Stand for us all!"
The alien women stared at him, their hearts in conflict. He had shown them something they had never seen before. They had mocked earthly men as weak, soft, useless. Yet here was one who stood alone against their best, wounded and unarmed, and still refused to break. It was no longer just a duel. It was a war of pride. The man picked up a piece of stone and gripped it in his hand. He looked at the camera one last time. "I do not fight only for Earth. I fight to show that humans are not what you think. We will not kneel, not now, not ever." His words burned into every soul that heard them. The commander stepped onto the battlefield, her armor brighter, her weapon sharper, her aura more terrifying than any of her warriors. The ground trembled beneath her feet. "This ends with me," she said coldly. "You will kneel, human. You will kneel before the might of the warrior women." The man raised his stone, his eyes unshaken, and the turning point was sealed. The battlefield was quiet for a heartbeat. Dust swirled in the air as the alien commander stepped forward, her presence heavier than a mountain. Every step she took shook the ground. Her golden armor shone under the morning sun, glowing brighter than fire. In her hand she carried a blade unlike any seen before, a weapon that hummed with raw power, pulsing like a heartbeat. The man stood across from her, holding nothing more than a broken stone in one hand and a bent pipe in the other. His body was marked with cuts, his ribs ached with every breath, and yet his eyes burned with the same fire that had carried him from the very first moment. The alien warriors on the ship whispered among themselves. "She is the commander. She will crush him." But deep inside another voice whispered, a voice they tried to ignore. What if he lasts even against her? The duel began. The commander moved with speed that no ordinary eye could follow. Her blade came down in a sweeping arc meant to slice him in two. The man rolled aside, the ground splitting where he once stood. The air shook with the force of the strike. She swung again, faster, sharper. The man dodged once more, his steps unsteady but precise. He stumbled, but he did not fall. He looked for every opening, every small mistake, and he used the battlefield to his advantage. The alien warriors watching frowned. This was no longer comedy. This was no longer weakness. This was survival beyond logic. The commander's eyes narrowed. "You last longer than I expected," she said, her voice low. "But you will still fall." She struck again, this time with a thrust aimed directly at his chest. The man twisted at the last second, the blade slicing his arm. Blood streamed down, but he ignored it. With his other hand, he slammed the stone into the side of her weapon, jarring it off balance. The move was not strong enough to disarm her, but it was enough to make her stumble half a step. Gasps echoed from both human and alien throats. A stumble. A mistake. Against a human, the commander's pride burned. She roared and attacked again, her strikes a storm. The man ducked, rolled, jumped, barely surviving each swing. His body screamed with pain, but his spirit shouted louder, "Stand, do not bow." Then, in one quick moment, he found his chance. As she raised her blade high for a crushing blow, he dashed forward closer than she expected. With all his strength, he thrust the broken pipe into a gap beneath her armor, striking her side. A spark burst. The commander gasped and staggered back. Silence. The alien warriors watching froze. Their eyes widened. Their commander, touched, wounded by a human man. For the first time, respect began to grow where mockery once lived. The humans watching erupted into cheers. Their champion, their nameless fighter, had drawn blood from the most powerful warrior woman in the galaxy. The commander looked at him, her chest rising heavily. Her golden eyes glared with anger, but something else flickered inside them. Something dangerous for her pride. Admiration. "You," she whispered, her voice trembling with rage and disbelief. "You fight like no other." The man wiped the blood from his face. His voice was weak but steady. "I fight because I must. I fight because no one else can. I fight for Earth." The alien warriors in the ship fell silent. No one laughed anymore. Their pride began to bend, even if they refused to admit it. For centuries, they had believed men of Earth to be fragile, soft, useless. But this man had done what none of them expected. He had stood, he had fought, and he had wounded their leader. The commander charged again, fury blazing in her movements. Their blades and strikes clashed again and again. Sparks flew, dust rose, hearts pounded. The man's body grew weaker, but his eyes grew brighter. Every strike he endured was proof that humanity would not bow. At one point, the commander pinned him against the broken wall of a building. Her blade was at his throat. She could have ended him in a second. The alien warriors leaned forward, expecting his end, but the man did not beg. He did not cry. He looked her straight in the eye and said, "If you kill me, another will rise." "We do not kneel," the commander froze. Her blade trembled. Her chest heaved. She had crushed countless enemies before, but never had she faced one who spoke like this. Never had she seen eyes so unbroken. Her hand shook just for a moment, and in that moment the alien warriors watching knew something was happening. Their respect, once hidden, was now visible. They whispered softly to each other. "He is different. He is not like the rest. He is—" They stopped, unwilling to finish the thought. The commander stepped back, lowering her blade slightly. "You are not like the others I have fought," she admitted, her voice low and sharp. "You carry something I do not understand." The man stood tall, his legs weak but his spirit strong. "It is simple," he said. "It is the will to protect. No weapon can create it. No armor can hide it. It is what makes us human." The alien warriors felt a strange weight in their hearts. For the first time, they looked at a human man not as prey, not as weak, but as something else. Something dangerous, something worthy, and respect, unwanted, uninvited, took root in their proud hearts. The duel was not yet over, but already the galaxy had begun to change. The battlefield was broken, walls shattered, streets cracked, dust still floating in the air. The nameless man stood in the center, his chest heaving, blood staining his shirt. His bent pipe and stone looked pitiful against the glowing blade of the alien commander. Yet he still stood tall, his spirit burning like fire. The alien warriors aboard the ship whispered in unease. "Our commander will crush him. And yet why does my heart feel uncertain?" The commander herself looked at the man with sharp golden eyes. He had wounded her once, and that memory burned inside her chest like poison. She had fought endless wars. She had crushed countless enemies, but never had anyone without armor, without weapons, dared to stand against her this long. She lifted her blade, its hum filling the silent battlefield. "You are not ordinary," she said, her voice cold. "But I must know if you are truly strong or only stubborn." Her words echoed in the air. The man did not answer. He simply tightened his grip on the bent pipe and waited. The commander lowered her weapon for a moment. Then with one swift motion she threw it aside. The blade stabbed deep into the earth, still glowing but no longer in her hands. The alien warriors gasped in shock. "What is she doing?" One of them cried. "She is!" "Testing him," another whispered. The commander stepped forward with empty hands. Her armor still glowed. Her body still towered, but now it was not weapons that would decide the duel. It was will against will, strength against spirit. The man's eyes flickered. He knew this was no mercy. This was her real challenge. She lunged at him with the force of a storm. Her fists struck like hammers, her kicks shook the broken ground. The man blocked with his pipe, dodged with broken steps, rolled and staggered. Each strike rattled his bones, each fall scraped his skin, yet still he rose. "You fight like fire," the commander said between blows, her breath quickening. "But fire always burns out." The man's answer came through clenched teeth. "Only if it has no fuel. My fuel is Earth." His words spread through the screens, into the hearts of every human watching. Old men clenched their fists. Children cried out with hope. Even the alien warriors felt their chests tighten with something they had never known before: doubt. The duel raged on. At one point, the commander grabbed him by the throat and lifted him high into the air. The crowd of aliens cheered, certain the end had come. She tightened her grip, her golden eyes blazing into his. "Now, human," she said, her voice deep and sharp. "Kneel, admit your weakness. Show your world you are nothing before me." The man's face turned red, his breath fading, but his eyes still burned. With the last of his strength, he spat blood to the ground and whispered hoarsely, "I kneel to no one." The commander's hand trembled. For the briefest second, she felt something she had never felt in battle before: respect. She threw him down, not in mercy but in anger at her own shaking spirit. The man rolled across the dirt, coughing, barely able to rise. Yet rise he did. His body was broken, but he forced his legs to stand. He stared at her once more, blood running from his lip. "Is that all you have?" he asked. The alien warriors gasped. Never in their history had someone dared to taunt their commander. The commander's lips curled into a fierce smile, half anger, half admiration. "Very well," she said. "You want my all? Then you will face it." She removed her helmet, letting her silver hair flow free. Her face, sharp and fierce, glistened with sweat. She slammed her fists together, the sound echoing like thunder. "This is my true test. Survive me at full strength, and I will call you warrior." She charged again. Their battle shook the ruined city. Fists struck, bones cracked, dust turned to clouds. Every strike seemed to crush the man, but each time he found a way back to his feet. Once she struck his chest so hard he fell to the ground, coughing blood. She turned away, thinking he was finished. But then a sound stopped her. The scraping of broken shoes on stone. She looked back, and there he was, standing again, weak but unbroken. The alien warriors aboard the ship were silent. Their eyes widened. Their commander, the strongest of them all, could not break this man. He had no armor, no weapon, no army. But he had something else, something they did not understand. Finally, after what felt like hours of battle, the commander stopped. Her chest heaved, her fists lowered. She looked at him, standing there, barely alive but still on his feet. "You," she said slowly, her voice filled with something new. "You are no ordinary human. You are no insect. You are warrior." The alien warriors aboard the ship gasped. Their commander had spoken the word they never used for humans. Warrior. The man said nothing. He simply stood, leaning on his bent pipe, his bloodied face staring at her with the same fire as before. The commander raised her hand to silence her people. She looked at the man one last time. "You have passed my test." The battlefield fell into silence. Respect had been earned, though the war of pride was not yet done. The battlefield was silent after the commander's words. Dust floated in the air like slow-falling snow. The nameless man stood in the middle of the ruins, his chest heaving, his body broken and bruised. Yet he was still standing. His eyes burned with the same fire that had carried him through every strike, every fall, every wound. The alien warriors aboard the ship stared in disbelief. Their commander had just spoken the word they never imagined would be given to a human, warrior. For them, this was more than respect. It was an admission that Earth was not weak. It was a shift that shook the pride of their entire race. The humans watching from their homes, schools, and shelters broke into cheers. People hugged, cried, and shouted in joy. For the first time, they believed Earth was not helpless. For the first time, they believed one human could stand against the galaxy. The commander stepped closer to the man. Her golden eyes, once filled with scorn, now carried something else, curiosity and respect. "You should be dead," she said quietly, so only he could hear. "But you refuse. Even broken, you refuse." The man wiped the blood from his lip and gave a faint smile. "We humans, we are stubborn. That is our strength." The commander studied him for a long moment, then turned to her people watching from above. She raised her hand, her voice echoing across the sky. "You have seen. He has stood against me. He has stood against us all. The men of Earth are not what we thought. They are warriors." A ripple went through the alien warriors. Some lowered their heads in shame. Others clenched their fists, unwilling to admit defeat but unable to deny the truth. One young warrior whispered to her sister, "I mocked them. But now I see. If even one man can stand like this, what would an army of them look like?" Another murmured, "He fought not for himself but for his world. That is something even we do not always understand." The shift had begun. The humans watching cried with joy. Children shouted the word warrior again and again. Mothers hugged their sons tightly. Fathers stood tall with new pride. The nameless man had not only fought for them, he had changed how the galaxy saw them. The commander turned back to the man. "You spared me once when you could have struck deeper. Why?" The man leaned on his broken pipe, his legs barely holding him. His voice was weak but steady. "Because mercy is not weakness. Power is not just about who can destroy. It is about who can choose not to." The alien commander's lips tightened, but her eyes softened. Those words pierced her pride more deeply than any wound. She, who had always believed mercy was for the weak, now faced a man who showed it without fear. Slowly she lowered her head, not in defeat, but in recognition. The alien warriors gasped. Their commander bowing her head before a human? It was something none of them could have imagined. The man did not raise his arms in victory. He did not smile with pride. He simply stood there, broken but unbent, and whispered, "This was never about me. This was about Earth." The commander raised her hand again, this time in salute. "Men of Earth," she declared loudly, her voice reaching every corner of the planet, "you are not weak. You are not prey. You are equals. From this day forward, we will no longer mock you. We will no longer see you as insects. You are warriors worthy of respect." The galaxy itself seemed to pause at her words. The alien ships above Earth slowly shifted, their weapons dimming, their lights softening. No longer were they hunters hovering over prey. They were visitors acknowledging the strength they had tried to deny. Humans across the planet cried tears of relief. The world that had been trembling in fear now stood with new pride. The nameless man had given them more than survival. He had given them dignity. The commander looked at him one last time. "You have changed the destiny of your people. You stood when no one else dared. Remember this, human. Today the galaxy learned your strength." The man gave a faint nod, too exhausted for words. His legs finally gave out and he fell to one knee. The crowd of humans who had been evacuated rushed forward, catching him before he could fall further. They carried him like a hero, though he never asked to be one. From the ships above, the alien warriors watched in silence. Their pride was cracked, but inside that crack something new grew. Respect and perhaps even the beginning of alliance. The commander returned to her ship. As she sat on her throne once more, her eyes still burned with the image of the man standing unbroken against her blade. She whispered quietly so none but herself could hear. Perhaps Earth will be more dangerous than we ever believed. The galaxy had shifted. No longer was Earth a forgotten world. No longer were its men mocked as weak. The story of one nameless man would travel across stars, told and retold as the day a human made warriors bow. And though the man disappeared back into his quiet life, refusing glory or fame, his name, unknown to the world, did not matter. His actions had carved a path that no one could erase. The destiny of Earth had changed forever.